sidebar and remark that question was C1. And it was that after the sidebar conferences on objection, you didn't hear the court's ruling on the objection, whether it was sustained or overruled. First, and I'll repeat this again, as far as any decision by the court on any objection, to not take anything from that. I'll reread you that instruction. But first, the first objection, were both objections by the state, both with Officer Homestead. One, counsel asked a question about the content in the police report, and I did sustain that objection, and counsel then rephrased the question and continued. The second objection, where we had that longer sidebar discussion, there was no ruling on the objection as after that discussion, the questions were rephrased, so there wasn't a ruling on the objection, just so that you know that. However, during the trial, if there are objections or motions addressed to me, those are things that the parties have the right to do, and indeed they have a duty to make those objections or motions. And if you do hear me say objection is overruled, that means I'm ruling against the attorney making the objection. If I say the objection is sustained, I'm ruling in favor of the attorney making the objection. Anything excluded by me is not evidence and must not be considered during your deliberations. But you should not conclude, because I rule one way or another, that I have any feelings on the outcome of this case, because I do not. If I did, you would have to disregard them, since you'll be the sole judges of the facts. So I just wanted to address that after discussion with counsel. Anything from my counsel to address the sidebar?
No, thank you. Yes, thank you.
So with that, ladies and gentlemen, welcome again. Good morning. And at this point in time, as the state has rested yesterday, we will turn to the defense. Mr. Mitchell.
Thank you, Judge. At this time, defense calls Jennifer Coombs.
Mr. Coombs, if you would please come forward.
Yes.
Witness stand, and I'll ask you just to remain standing, raise your right hand while I go for it. There's just the open there.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I swear to tell the truth.
Please state your name for the record.
Jennifer Coombs.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a seat.
Thank you, Judge. Morning, Jeff.
Good morning.
I'll just add your briefs. How are you doing today?
Doing okay.
I want to talk to you about the time that you lived at 16 Evergreen Avenue in Neptune City. Do you remember that period of time in your life?
Yes.
Why did you move in there?
My friend Marie DeWolf and I were having some health issues that we were contending with, and we decided to be more of a support system to each other.
How long did you know Marie DeWolf for?
Approximately 10 years at that time.
How'd you meet?
I met Marie and her family through our kids that went to school together in Woodrow Wilson in Neptune City.
When did you move in to 16 Evergreen with Marie?
March 1st, 2019.
Did anyone else live there?
Yes.
Who?
Her husband and their 2 teenage children.
What did you do there with Marie?
I just lived my daily life. I was living my daily life with I had a teenage daughter that I was joint custody of, and I was going to work. I was dealing with stuff like that.
Where'd you work?
I worked at Acme,
How many hours a week did you work at?
approximately 15 hours.
Did you receive money from anywhere else?
Yes, I received SSD for my disability.
What's that?
My post-traumatic stress disorder. That's the main one.
So even though you received a check from disability, you still felt the need to work?
Yes, I was taught to work to the best of your abilities, no matter what. Nothing's free in this world.
Did you enjoy living at 16 Evergreen during that
Very
time?
much so,
Why?
because I was living in a very supportive environment that with caring people that actually cares about me, and I care about them very much.
And what was going on with Marie at that time?
Marie was in remission from cancer.
So would you take her anywhere in particular?
Yes, the only thing I really did, I was helping out with taking her to her doctor appointments in New Brunswick.
Do you remember when Robert Champollion moved into the house diagonally across the street?
No, not really, because I wasn't really paying attention to the house across the street, because I have my own life to live.
When was the first time that you saw Robert Champollion? Do you remember?
I welcomed a unknown new neighbor, but I didn't know it was him exactly.
So I believe you're talking about July 5th, 2019.
Yes,
Is that the first time you saw Robert?
yes,
Is that the first time you talked to him?
yes.
Can you tell me a little bit about what you were doing that day, what happened that morning?
Yes, it was a day after July 4th, holiday weekend. We were busy at my job and everything. So lots of things were going on at Acme and everything else. And I went to work, I woke up, got ready, I was running a little bit late, but not much. And I was on my way out the door, and I noticed a new neighbor was pulling in. I said, "Welcome to the neighborhood." And then I jumped in my car and left. And I left around approximately 7:45 that morning,
Now, how do you know that? That's a very specific time.
due to my app. Because I punched in at 8:05, and it usually takes me approximately like 15 minutes to get to work.
Do you remember that all on your own, or do you have something that shows?
My timesheet said I punched in at 8:05.
Jen, I'm going to show you what's been marked as D1 for identification. Can you tell me what this is here?
It's my timesheet from Acme.
What does it say for July 5th, 2019 as the clock in time?
8:05,
How long does it take you to get to work?
approximately 15 minutes.
How long does it take you to walk from your car in the parking lot to the time clock at Acme?
To get myself ready, 5 minutes.
Would it be fair to say that you then arrived at Acme on 7/5/2019 at approximately 8 a.m.?
Yes.
Judge, without any objection from the state and with your permission, I would ask to publish this timesheet to the jury via the screens above.
No objection, everyone may.
Thank you. Judge, I'm just gonna zoom in on the pertinent part of this here. Jen, you see my cursor there
Yes,
at 7/5/2019? Is this what it says on the paper that you have in your
yes,
hand?
yes,
Is this the same thing that you're holding in your hand?
yes,
This is your timesheet, right?
yes.
What did you do with that?
I was a clerk. I had, I do various jobs. I'm a jack of all trades for Acme. But during that day, I was pushing carts. And I was cleaning the bathrooms. I was into the sanitation department and pushing carts. Very busy day.
Yeah, so is that one of the things that you would do most of the time, is push the carts in the parking lot?
Yes, and I cleaned the store too. Different parts of the store. Like
So-
the bathrooms.
That's not a fun job, is it?
No, not really.
But it's honest work.
Yes, very honest work, and I'm proud of my work.
You should be.
Yeah. This past September, it was 25 years. 25 years. And that's the longest time I ever had a job. And I'm proud of that.
So Jen, I want to talk about the next date that Robert mentioned. August 19th, 2019. Do you remember that day?
Yes.
What were you doing on that day?
Jamie and I, Jamie is my friend Marie's son. We were doing errands that day. We're going to do errands that day. We're going to do hunt. We're going to do a hunting to hunt for cleaning supplies like toilet paper, paper towels, cleaning supplies. Because there was a shortage going on with them due to COVID, and everybody was buying things left and right. And I know like glass stores were out of them and everything else. And the only reason I know that, the main reason why I know that is because I work at Acme.
You're with Jamie DeWolf, and you're going shopping. Were you talking about anything?
Yes. There was a lot of unrest going across the country with the different police incidents and everything else. And I want to give them a realistic, positive image of police that day. Because some police are positive, some police are bad, and some of them all in between. I just don't want him to think that all police are bad, because they're not. They're not.
Did your conversation have anything to do with Robert and his friends that were on their porch?
I'm gonna be honest, I wasn't really paying attention to what was going across the street, because I was having a conversation with my friend's son.
Were you screaming and yelling across the street at Robert and his friends?
Heck no. I don't have time for that. I got my own life to live.
You circling the block and staring at him and yelling at him from your car?
No. I would never jeopardize what I had with the DeWolf family for stupid stuff like that.
Did you come back to the house though?
Yes,
Why'd you come back to the house then?
because I've got my wallet and my list.
So why'd you need that though?
Because I needed the list, because we had a list of things to hunt for throughout the store, different stores. And I left my money in my wallet.
But who was there when came back,
Officer Mitchell,
did you talk to him?
yes.
Did he say anything to you?
He asked me what's going on, and I told him, and I clarified what was going on, and that's what happened.
Were you confused about why you kept having to talk to the police?
Yes, I didn't get it because I was just living my daily life with my friends. Nothing was ever directed towards anybody.
So after that day, did you make an effort to kind of steer clear of Robert?
I'm gonna be honest, I never paid attention to what was going on. I paid attention to my own life and my friends, what was going on in my friend's house. I have my own life to live. I don't have time for petty BS like this. I was a role model for 2 teenage kids that had special disabilities. And then I have my own daughter, teenage daughter too.
Who are the children that you had a role model for that had disabilities?
Jamie DeWolf and Maren DeWolf.
The children that lived at 16 Evergreen with you?
Yes.
Would you say that you're a person of routine?
Absolutely.
How so?
If I have a sense of routine in my life, it makes me feel secure within myself due to past traumas that I've been through. And if I don't have that routine, I feel like a little chaotic inside. But if our routine, at least I know like what's going on, what to expect, and everything else.
What sorts of things would you do for these various routines? Can you give me an example?
I make sure I drive the same routes from work to my mom's house to anywhere, stores or anything like that.
Well, you heard testimony that you were habitually turning around in front of Robert's driveway. Is that something that you did to aggravate him?
Oh no,
Why'd you turn around near his driveway?
I never changed my routine prior to him moving in and after he moved in. It was something I had always done for many years. I never pulled into his driveway. I always stopped short of the driveway because I wanted to do a K-turn so I can K-turn like this, then go onto Memorial Drive so I can head out on Route 35 or go to the beach or go to Asbury Park. That's the easiest way.
Is that how you would go to work?
Yes, every morning that I work.
So would it be fair to say that your work routine consisted of making a K-turn, heading to work?
Yes.
Did you do that to annoy him?
No, I'm gonna be honest, I didn't know it was annoying him until it was said to me. Like I said, I just lived my own routine. I'm sorry, I was speech impairment.
Okay, Jen, you're doing great. From August 19th, 2019 to September 5th, 2020, would you stare at Robert when he was outside and smirk at him?
again, I never paid attention to what was going on across the street.
So let's talk about September 5th, 2020. Do you remember what you did that day?
Yes,
What was that?
I got up, went to work, and for 5 hours, then I went to Ray's Service Center after work, got my oil checked, and then I went home.
Where's Ray's Service Center?
85 Steiner Avenue.
How do you remember all of these specific trips? I mean, this was 3 years ago.
My Hummer app, it's a GPS that I got, a device that I got through Verizon.
What is that? I don't know what that is.
It helps me track it's a GPS device that I got through Verizon. It helps me track my trips. It helps me with gas mileage and the amount of miles that I drive each and every day. It helps me with the miles per hour and does a lot more than that, but I'm trying to give you the basic gist of it.
But it records your location in
Yes,
real time?
yes, in real time.
Is that an app on your phone?
Yes,
So you can see your, say, trips for the day?
yes. I have to plug in a device into the car and it goes to my phone.
Now, you have access to these trips, right?
Yes,
Did you ever send these trips, these GPS coordinates for September 5th, 2020 to Sergeant Homestead?
yes.
And did he say anything to you in response?
No response.
Did anyone tell you to contact your attorney with information like that?
Yes,
Jen, I'm showing you what's been marked as a DC for identification. Is this what you sent Detective Homestead?
yes. Only half of it.
What do you mean?
Only half of it, like this.
Right, so-
I didn't catch this up because it didn't really have nothing to do with the location of where it was.
Right. So you sent him the location details,
Yes,
you sent him the trip details,
yes,
you sent him the trip routes,
yes,
the start address,
yes,
the end address.
yes,
How much time it took for you to get from point A to point B.
yes.
That was in an email, correct?
Absolutely, yes.
You also took screenshots on your Hum app,
Yes,
and those screenshots show all of the trips from that day.
yes,
I'm showing you what's been marked as G3 for identification. Can you tell me if those are the screenshots that you took from your Hum app?
yes.
Why did you take those screenshots?
Because I had nothing to hide. I knew I was being falsely accused of something I didn't do on that day. And I was more than willing to share my location with the police, I'm not the,
But you never sent those screenshots specifically to the police.
no,
So you only sent the raw data in
correct,
an email.
correct.
Does it show the same thing?
In different ways, yes,
Does it show your trips?
yes,
Does it show total trips?
yes,
Does it show your beginning point?
yes,
Does it show your end point?
yes,
Does it show total trip time?
yes.
Judge, with the court's permission, I would like to publish D3 to the jury.
Objection, Your Honor, may be heard recital.
Sure.
The objection's over.
Sorry, Jen, do your work for me, here. Jen, can you tell me what this is? It's on the screen.
That's a screenshot of our home app from September 5th, 2020.
Where's 2007 Sabre 35?
Acme in Wall Township,
That's the one you work at?
yes.
So what does the app show as the time you left your house on that day?
Could you say that again, please?
When did you leave for work that day? Does it show it on there?
Leave for work?
Hold on, Jeff, let me pull up the next one because I can pull up the trips. That's the second page there.
Okay.
But would you say this is a fair and accurate representation of the document that you have in your hand that I showed you in C3?
Yes,
And this is a screenshot of your comment?
yes,
Is this the main page?
yes,
Does this show all of the trips that you made that day?
yes.
How many trips in total?
3 trips,
Do you remember what those trips were?
yes.
What's the first trip?
I went to work.
What's the second trip?
I went to Ray's Service Center.
And what's the third trip?
I went home
From where?
from Ray's Service Center.
What's this, Jen, that's on the screen here?
That's another screenshot.
What trip is that?
I can't see through this.
Let me put this on full screen. Well, you have it in your hand, Jeff.
Yes. Which? Number 1.
You want to get up and take a look?
Yes.
There's a TV right here, too.
What's the question?
What trip is that?
That's when I left my home to go to work.
So you're a little late that day, huh?
Yes. Thank you.
What time did you get to work?
8:13.
How do you know that?
Because my app says that. My GPS app said that.
And where'd you leave from?
From work, or from home.
What address is that?
16 Evergreen.
So I'm going to call your attention to the second trip that day, Jen. Do you have it there in front of you, or do you want to look at the TV?
I want to look at the TV again.
So I'm going to put it up on the TV. Go ahead, move it. What trip is that?
From work to Ray's Service Center,
And how do you know that?
because that's a screenshot of my GPS from that.
Okay, close attention. And it looks like that trip took you about 13 minutes.
Yes,
How far is Ray's Service Center from 16 Avenue?
a minute.
A minute?
Yes, driving wise.
So let's talk about that third trip. Then. Is this the trip from Ray's Service Center to 16 Evergreen?
Yes.
But why does it say 102 Midwood? I thought Ray's was at 85 Center.
102 Midwood, it's right smack next to the Ray's Service Center. And sometimes my app picks up the next address over. Not all the time, but sometimes because of how the properties are situated.
So Jen, if I showed you a map, would you be able to show us where Ray's Service Center is and where 102 Midwood Street is?
Yes.
So Jen, I'm showing you what has previously been marked as D4 for identification. Can you tell me what this is?
That's a map in the area of Ray's Service Center.
And what is right next door to it?
102 Midwood Street.
Judge, with your permission and no objection from the state, I would publish T4, which is the map of Ray's Service Center and 102 Midwood.
No objection. I'm leaving.
Is this what you map you have in your hand, Jen?
Yes.
And where is 102 Midwood in relation to 85 Center?
If you're standing in Midwood, standing with Ray's Service Center straight ahead, 102 Midwood is on the left of it.
Is everyone in the jury able to see the map clearly, or just should I zoom in?
Zoom in.
Is that better for everyone? So your testimony here today is that sometimes if you're close, the GPS app can pick up the next door address.
Yes.
But you're not disputing, you left from this area right here to go home.
Yes.
How long of the trip is it again?
Approximately 1 minute.
So Jen, can you tell me why this, it's like about 7 minutes on the GPS app?
The reason why my app collects different data. One thing is trip time and one thing is idle time. So if I stop at a stop sign, it picks up when I'm just idling.
Yeah, or if you're sitting in your car?
Car, yes. Stop sign, sit in my car, sitting in my car in a parking lot or red light or anything of non-movement, it picks up as idle time.
But the trip from 102 Midwood or 85 Steiner, that takes approximately 1 minute to get home, right?
Yes,
And if I showed you a map, would you be able to tell me the route that you took home?
yes. Not the whole month.
Here it is. Jen, I'm showing you what's been marked as D5 for identification. Can you tell me what that is?
That's another map that goes from 85 Summer Avenue over to Evergreen Avenue.
And what's the significance of Evergreen Avenue?
Because that's where I live. I live on 16 Evergreen.
Judge, with your permission and no objection from the state, I would like to publish this map D5 to the jury.
There's no objection.
And Jen, is this a fair and accurate representation of how the streets looked on September 5th, 2020?
Yes.
When you're coming upside, did you have a specific route that you would take home?
Yes.
Why?
So I didn't have, yes, because I didn't want to do a U-turn or a K-turn on Evergreen Avenue, so I can park on the right side of the road if I'm where I live.
So how would you drive home here?
I would take a left-hand side of the avenue, go down to Poplar Road, take a right.
Just let me stop you there, Jen. It's not listed on this map because of the zoom, but where's Poplar Road on this map?
It's a road between Evergreen Avenue and Forest Street.
What turn would you make onto that road?
On Poplar, right-hand side, right turn,
Then where would you go?
I would go left, take a left on Great Place, and then I take a left on Evergreen, so I can park right in front of the house.
Did you park in the same spot every time you came home?
Yes,
Is that part of your routine?
yes.
Now, did anything significant happen when you were driving home from the mechanic?
Just another drive home. Nothing really happened in my viewpoint.
Did you see anybody?
Yes, I went past Mr. Chapoyan on the left-hand side. I didn't really know who he was at first because, again, I was driving. I knew there was a person there, but I didn't know who it was.
Were you driving slow?
I was driving the speed limit of the road,
What's that?
25 miles per hour.
Did you roll down your window?
No,
Did you stick out your middle finger at Robert?
no.
Did you tell Robert, fuck you?
Why would I? I don't understand that. He didn't do anything to me.
Well, he called the police on you. Weren't you mad about that?
I was utterly confused and upset, yes, because I didn't know what was going on because, again, I was taking a simple trip from my mechanic home to home. That only took a minute. I didn't have any interaction with him at all, so yeah, I was like, I didn't know what was going on.
Or did the police come and talk to you again that day?
Yes,
What happened?
they talked to me and they advised me of the complaint. I told them I had no idea what they were talking about. And I got stressed over the incident because now it's bringing stress into the household because of Marie. I don't want any more stress added to the household.
How come?
Even though she's in remission of cancer, she still have to be careful with all the stress and everything else.
Did you feel like the police didn't believe you when you were telling them you were
No, they did not.
Objection's over.
Jen, do you need me to ask the question again?
Yes.
Did you feel at that time that when you were talking to the police and telling your side of the story, that they didn't believe what you were saying?
No, absolutely not.
Can you clarify that?
When I mentioned, like, I wasn't doing anything, they just looked at me, like, there had to be something going on, but they weren't, it wasn't. I was just minding my own business, like, I had no clue what they were talking about, like, Mr. Japone was only a neighbor, but he was only, he was a police officer too. And it's hard to go against the word of a police officer, even though he's your neighbor.
So what, did you do anything in response to that?
One of the things that I did was I talked to the homeowners, and we came up with a group decision to purchase home security system
So why did you purchase the home security system?
to protect the residents of 16 Evergreen Avenue from any nefarious activities and false allegations.
Well, did you do it to protect yourself too?
Yeah, all of the residents, including myself.
Well, would these cameras capture what happened in front of 16 Evergreen?
Yes,
So presumably, if there was an altercation or an incident where Robert called the police on you again, you'd have the video to back you
yes.
up.
Say that again.
You'd have a video to back you up.
Yes,
Was that part of the reason why you installed these cameras?
yes,
And did you install these cameras personally?
no,
Did you climb up on the ladder yourself?
no.
Who did?
Chief DeWolf, the homeowner,
Did you tell him where to put the cameras?
no,
Did you tell him where to position the cameras?
no,
Did he have access to the cameras?
yes,
Did you have control of the digital feed
yes,
of the cameras?
yeah.
Were you good at technology? Why did you have control of the cameras at that?
Out of everybody, I was most educated about the technology, how to set it up, and how to set things up on apps and things like that. I'm like a computer geek of the house.
But Keith could look at these anytime he wanted, or not?
He had access to my room 24/7. Didn't have any locks in my room. And if he wanted access to my room, he always gave me a heads up as a courtesy, because like he didn't want to walk into my room while I'm being naked or something like that. Like,
Right. Did you point all these cameras, or ask Keith to point all these cameras directly at Robert's house?
no,
When did you, with the help of Keith the Wolf, put these cameras in?
on September 7th,
Do you remember, or do you need me to show you something now to remember?
I need something else to remember.
That's okay. Jen, I'm showing you what's been previously marked as D6 for identification. Do you know, or can you tell me what this is?
It's the live camera, it's a screenshot or a picture of the live camera feed of 4 camera angles that Keith put up.
Did you take that picture?
Yes,
Just to clarify, that is a picture of the feed from the 4 cameras that were installed on 16 Evergreen.
Yes.
Judge, if you're considering a no objection from the state, I would ask you to this picture to the jury.
No objection.
Everyone in the jury see this picture? Anyone having a problem seeing it? Okay, non-responsive, so let's continue. Now, Jen, is this the same picture that you have in your hand?
Yes.
What does it show?
It's a picture, actually it's a picture of the 4 camera angles.
And what does the first one in the top left show? You want to look at the screen, Jen? Is that
Yes.
easier for you?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
That's the one that goes this way.
So would it be fair to say that that's on the right side of the house?
Yes.
And what about the one on the top right? What is that?
That's the porch that's going in like the,
Okay,
that goes going in like this into the porch.
so that camera's looking down onto the porch.
Yes, by the front door.
What about the bottom left one, Jen? Where's that pointing?
That goes center, that goes like this,
So that's straight out
straight out.
from the house?
Yes.
And how about the last one there? There you can see the roof on the bottom right. Where's that one going?
That goes like this.
Can you see? Do you see where 19 Evergreen is?
Yes.
And is that visible in all cameras or just some?
There's 2 of them.
Which
The top left and the bottom left.
it's attempted. And do you remember when you took this picture?
Yes.
When was that?
September 7th, 2020. At approximately 1:36 p.m. I need clock. Because that's the timestamp.
Right, so it's my next question. How do you know that?
Because of the timestamp
The timestamp on the photo?
on the photo.
Is that in the top right-hand corner?
Yes.
Is this the same day that you installed the cameras?
Yes.
So on the 8th, did you show Jamie DeWolf the cameras?
Yes.
Why did you show him the cameras?
He wasn't there when we were installing the cameras the day before, and he asked me like where the cameras were, so I just showed him.
Did you point to the cameras and then point across the street at 19 Evergreen, Robert Champollion's residence, and say, now we can always watch them?
Absolutely no.
Would you say something like that?
Absolutely no.
Do you dislike Robert Champollien?
I don't know him. I don't know him.
Did you want him to be fearful in his own home?
No.
Did you want to have constant contact with him and not leave him alone?
I didn't want nothing to do with the guy. I had my own life to worry about.
Did you stalk Robert Champollien?
No. I would never do that to anybody, and I wouldn't jeopardize what I have with the Dewar family and put them through all this stress. No, Marie had these major health issues. It's really distressing even to think about that.
Judge, I have no further questions. Is there no questions?
Yes, Your Honor, if I could have the same photographs that defense counsel showed.
Yeah. Show me what the camera. Yes, I'm sorry.
Proceed, Your Honor. You may. Good morning, Mr. Coombs.
Good morning.
So I just want to follow up on some of the things that they discussed with you on direct examination. Your Honor, I believe this document. So absolutely. So, Ms. Coombs, you mentioned on direct examination that you worked at Acme, is that right?
Yes,
And you mentioned some of the ways that you spent the day, is that right?
yes,
But you also have another job or activity that you do that you didn't mention on direct. You're also a citizen video journalist, isn't that right?
yes.
So what does that job entail, being a citizen video journalist? What do you do?
I don't really see it as a job per se. It's something that I do in my free time.
But what is it that you do exactly? Could you tell us what that is?
I'm into government transparency and accountability. I film council meetings. I film Board of Education meetings. I film fun activities that the town sponsor. I film police promotion meetings, and I do film police activities as well too. So my channel, my YouTube channel, is a conglomerate of different things that I do when it comes to government-sponsored services.
So you have a YouTube channel as well, is that right?
Yes,
It's called Time for Change Jersey Style, is that right?
it's called Time to Change Jersey Style.
And with regards to that YouTube channel, you mentioned you go to a number of functions. In what area do you go to these activities?
Monmouth County and beyond the state.
So you go around Monmouth County, is that right?
Yes,
And also even beyond the state sometimes.
yes.
And you travel to these meetings or government activities, and what do you do there?
The meetings that I film is mostly happens in New Jersey because I don't have a budget, like a big budget to go by. So I like to film our government-sponsored services.
And you mentioned police activity as well.
Yes,
So could you tell us about the filming that you do with these police activities?
I like to capture the true essence of what's going on from beginning to end. Because I learned that filming from if there's the cameras from different angles, it gives people a better understanding of what really happened instead of like judgments from pictures and things like, are people testimonies or what, like, whatever.
And you do this, you said, because you are advocating for transparency, is that right?
Transparency and accountability for anybody that's involved. It doesn't matter if it's a police officer, it doesn't matter if it's a civilian, it does, because it captures the true essence of what happened within the situation.
So accountability as well, you're looking for accountability for whoever is involved in these.
No, it's mostly the transparency issues.
So which, I'm sorry, is it for transparency and accountability or just for transparency?
It's transparency and accountability.
And with regards to these police interactions, how do you come upon that or find that kind of aware of?
Like the police promotions, I found them on the computer, on their town websites, and or somebody tells me about them, and I just go there as a citizen of the journalist, and I just film the meeting, or the promotion ceremonies, and things like that.
And you mentioned police promotional events. Are those the only police encounters that you'll film, or do you film anything else that the police?
I film DWI checkpoints and traffic stops.
So DWI checkpoints as well, and how do you find out about those?
By state law, they have to publish the location and of the DWI checkpoints to the newspaper or some computer online service or something like that. It's by state law. That's how I find out.
So you find when the police are publishing that they're doing a DWI checkpoint, and then you go there yourself, is that right?
Yes.
And then you film what the police are doing on these checkpoints?
Yes.
And you mentioned traffic stops or motor vehicle stops as well.
Yes.
How do you come about those or find them?
A lot of times it's just driving.
So just driving by, you'll see the police involved in a traffic stop?
Yes, and I try to get there, not try to get there, I try to capture as much as I can from the time I get there.
So when you see on these occasions the police involved in a traffic stop, you'll stop yourself and you'll try to capture everything you can.
Yes.
So with regards to those activities, this citizen journalism that you've been involved in, how long have you been doing that for?
Since 2016.
Since 2016. And with regards to those videos then that you capture, you'll post them on this YouTube channel that you mentioned, The Time for Change.
Yes.
And at that point then, they can be viewed by the public.
Yes.
And those videos, when you post them, you will solicit advertisements on those videos, is that right?
I don't understand what you mean by that question.
Well, if you post these videos on YouTube, you are looking for advertisers to advertise on your videos, is that right?
No.
You don't look for advertisers on your video?
No.
Now, if I showed you a picture of your website, you'd recognize it, right?
Yes.
Now, permission to approach the witness with what we pre-marked as State's Exhibit B for identification. I'll show and State's Exhibit 1 as well.
Just go first.
No objection.
So, permission to approach with S1 through 8. Yes. Ma'am, I just handed you a copy of 8 photographs. They're each marked individually S1 through 8.
Yes.
Do you recognize those as screenshots of your YouTube channel, Time for Change?
Yes.
Jersey Style?
Yes.
And on S1, that has the title of the channel, Time to Change Jersey Style, is that?
Yes.
And a picture on S1, is that right?
Yes.
And these photographs, they fairly and accurately depict your YouTube channel?
It doesn't cover all the videos.
Not all the videos, but what it does cover, they're fair and accurate depictions of screenshots of your YouTube channel.
A small sampling of the videos.
A sampling of them, but they do accurately depict videos from your YouTube channel.
Yes.
Your Honor, permission to move S1 through 8 into evidence at this time. Mr. Attorney Chair.
I'll make sure it's sidebar.
So, ma'am, just turning your attention to these screenshots from the YouTube channel. Going through them, we can start on S1. There are a number of videos that are posted, and there's a title underneath the video, is that right?
Yes.
Each one of the videos. And who titles the videos?
I do.
So you put the title in for each of the videos when you upload it?
Yes.
And on the titles, you can see there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 videos with captions that are visible on S1, and then there's another 4 on the bottom that are coupled on. You see that?
Yes.
So just focusing on those 8 that you can see the caption. On each one of those videos, underneath the video, the title that you place there, it states ad friendly in the title. Is that
Yes.
right? So when you put the titles in for each of these videos, you noted that each of them are ad friendly. Is that right?
Yes.
So what did you mean by that, ad friendly?
Ad friendly. I did not solicit any ads for the videos, but YouTube put ads into my videos.
So why did you put the phrase ad friendly in the title?
I don't want the Google thing that's like a nasty video.
So your understanding was that YouTube, it will advertise on certain videos on its platform, is that right?
Yes.
And then you, in the videos that you uploaded, you noted in the title that they're ad friendly.
Yes. It's not rated R, it's not like out there, yeah, it's people friendly.
That your videos would be friendly for, people friendly for ads, is that right?
Yes.
Now, also with regards to these activities, you mentioned that you been doing this since 2016, is that right?
Yes.
Now, a good amount of those videos that are on your channel, they concern the police or interactions with the police, is that right?
My YouTube channel has evolved over time. It started with filming the police, but has evolved into filming music festivals, Halloween parades, police promotions, ceremonies, Board of Education meetings, St. Patrick's Parade in Belmar, fires. I see a video from New Orleans, Louisiana, when I was on Bourbon Street. So it's like, it's not just police, it's a lot of different stuff.
Now, ma'am, with regards to your channel, you're familiar with your channel, of course, your YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And the photographs that you have in front of you. So there's a variety of activities posted on them. Some of those activities, they include these police encounters, is that right?
Yes.
And those police encounters, they're actually some of the more popular, in terms of views, videos that are on your channel, is that right?
Depends.
Well, to say depends, ma'am, for example,
Objection was withdrawn. Mr. Zone.
Thank you, Your Honor. So, ma'am, with regards to this YouTube channel, again, spoken about the, that you do film interactions with the police at WI checkpoints or at traffic stops, correct?
Yes,
And you post these videos to your YouTube channel, is that right?
yes,
And you've been doing this activity since 2016, as you mentioned, is that right?
yes,
And throughout that time, you've had interactions with many law enforcement officers, is that right?
yes,
In fact, you've interacted with so many law enforcement officers over the course of that period of time, you can't even remember really all their faces, names, and who you interacted with, is that right?
yes,
So with regards to the victim in this matter, Robert Champoolian, you're aware that he is an Asbury Park police officer, is that right?
I'm aware. After the police phone, the unwarranted police phone calls, yes.
So you are aware he's a police officer, is that right?
I was made aware after the unwarranted police calls that was made on me, yes.
Now, earlier you testified with the jury that when you approached him in July of 2019, that was the first time you had met or spoken. Is that right?
I never approached him, sir.
Ma'am, when you introduced yourself, spoke to him, the interaction that you had on July 5th, 2019.
It was a quick reading, so I don't see it as,
So this quick reading, you testified earlier, that was the first time you ever met or interacted with him. Is that right?
yes,
But isn't it true, ma'am, that you've had so many interactions with law enforcement officers over those previous years that you can't actually be sure if you had met him before on the job or not?
I don't recall. There's too many of them to remember.
So it's
Just like
like,
your job, you can't remember all the defendants that you dealt with.
so ma'am, just to clarify, with regards to Mr. Champoolian, you're unsure if you had met him before or not because you've dealt with so many police officers.
I don't recall seeing him.
So are you sure you've never seen him before, or are you unsure because you can't recall? It's been so many.
I don't understand your question, sir.
I just want to clarify for the jury, when you stated that was the first time you met him in July of 2019, are you positive that's the first time you met him, or are you unsure because you can't recall whether there was a previous interaction among the many police officers you dealt with?
I don't recall.
Your Honor, may we approach?
Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, this morning we got started a little later than normal, so we hadn't taken our morning break, and at this point we're going to take our lunch break. We're going to take lunch break a little earlier, to be a little over an hour, a little longer than we would expect. Normally, I told you we would take our lunch break, and then we will come back after lunch and continue with the evidence in this case. So, in a moment, I'm going to have you excuse you for lunch, and we'll ask you to report back to the jury assembly room at 10 after 1. It's now just after 12, so we're more than an hour. We'll try to have you up here as close to 1:15 as possible to restart with the evidence. Now, I must instruct you, as I instructed you on every break, that you are not to have any discussions with each other or anyone else about anything in this case, none of the evidence that you've heard, none of the evidence that you may have seen, or any of the principles that are involved. Nor are you to do any research whatsoever during this break. The conversations would include not only in-person conversations, telephone, text messages, social media contacts, no research, whether it's internet or otherwise. Your decision, we want to make sure we're going to do solely on the evidence in this courtroom and the law that I will instruct you to apply, and not influenced by anything else or on any things that are not evidence. Last, as I always remind you, is that if you see anyone involved in this trial during any break, they don't acknowledge you, they are not being rude or disrespectful, they're just following my instructions, that they're not to do so, just as I'm instructing you not to have any contact or interactions with anybody who is involved in this trial. So with that, enjoy your lunch, and we'll see you next week.
No, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you very much, everyone. Enjoy your lunch and others. And all 14 jurors back in their seats. Mr. Russo, are you ready to continue?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Coombs, I will just remind you that you still are under oath as you took the oath earlier, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Russo.
Thank you, Your Honor. So, Ms. Coombs, we talked a little bit before lunch about your activities. I want to turn your attention to your interactions with Robert Shane in this case. Let's start with that July 5th, 2019 interaction. You indicated on direct examination that was a quick briefing that you gave on your way to work. Is that right?
To a new neighbor, yes.
To a new neighbor, correct?
Yes.
Didn't have anything to do with the fact that he was a police officer.
No.
You mentioned before lunch that you didn't even realize he was a police officer until after all of these calls started being recorded. Is that right?
Correct.
So you told us was just on your way to work, you see the new neighbor for the first time, and it was just a simple greeting. Is that right?
Welcome to the neighborhood.
Didn't mention anything about the police.
No.
So, Ms. Coombs, just to be clear about some of that, this happened in July of 2019, is that right?
Yes.
Now, you heard Robert Champulian when he testified in court yesterday. He moved into that house in April of 2019. Heard that?
Yes.
So this was about 3 months after he had moved in, is that right?
Honestly, I don't know when he moved in.
I understand that, but you know now that he moved in April, is that right?
If that's what he testified to.
So, yeah, it's about 3 months after he testified. Is that right?
That's the testimony shows, yes.
So just to be clear, July, so it's about 3 months after, right?
Yes.
Now you mentioned you didn't realize he was a police officer, but he was wearing his police uniform, wasn't he?
People wear uniforms all the time, besides a police uniform.
So you saw him in a uniform, but you weren't sure if it was a police uniform?
Correct.
Now you did tell us earlier that you've interacted with police when you go to these DWI stops or traffic stops, don't you? Is that right?
Yes.
And you've interacted with so many that you can't remember all the names and faces that you've interacted with. Is that right?
Correct.
But you didn't recognize a police uniform when you saw it?
For my long distance, no, because it could have been a security card for a bank. It could be a CO, correction officer. So all those uniforms blend in together. I can't I can't tell what kind of uniform it is from a long distance away.
So that's a yes, then you couldn't recognize, despite all that experience, that was a police uniform.
I couldn't distinguish it, I couldn't tell it apart from the other uniforms, like the correctional officer's uniform.
So again, you didn't approach him to talk or greet him to talk about the police. Is that right?
Why would I? He's a new neighbor, I don't know him.
You said, why would I? But again, if you could just answer the question, you did not approach him to speak about the police.
No,
Now you testified before lunch that when you see the police at a traffic stop, you'll actually pull over and get out and film that traffic stop. Is that right?
yes,
But when your neighbor, a police officer, got home in his police uniform, you didn't approach him to talk about the police.
no,
Now I want to turn your attention to the incident in the car that you spoke about. You referenced getting in a vehicle with Jamie DeWolf at one point to go to
what date are you talking about?
on August 19th, you referenced getting into a vehicle with Jamie DeWolf to go to the grocery store. Is that right?
Yes,
So specifically, direct examination testimony was that Jamie ran out to the grocery store to get supplies. Is that right?
yes,
You mentioned that there was a run on supplies because of COVID, right?
yes,
And that you happened to be speaking with Jamie about this. Is that right?
yes,
And you didn't pay any attention to Robert Champoolian on the other side of the street. It had nothing to do with the conversation about the police with your police neighbor across the street.
no, I wasn't really paying attention to what was going on across the street.
So that was what you told the jury on the record.
Yes.
But man, that couldn't possibly be accurate. Is that right?
I disagree with you, sir.
Well, you mentioned running to the store to get supplies for COVID, but that was August 19th of 2019, wasn't it?
Is that the date in question? Yes.
We all know that COVID shut everything down in March of 2020, right?
I worked in Acme. There was a shortage of supplies going for several months.
Back in August of 2019, the
Yes.
testimony is that people were running for supplies for COVID.
Yes, because if we know about anything about COVID, it did not last 1 month, it didn't last 2 months, it didn't last 3 months, it didn't last 4 months, it didn't last 5 months, it didn't last 6 months. It was way beyond 6 months. Because I work in Acme, I'm very aware of the shortages of the grocery chain and everything else. It affected the whole country, not just Monmouth County. So yes, I'm very aware of the shortages that caused by COVID because of all the supply chain issues across the country.
And I'm sure everyone's aware of those shortages. What I'm asking specifically you is the timing. You're telling the jury that you ran for supplies due to a COVID shortage in August of 2019.
What is considered a COVID shortage? I never heard of it. Specifically a COVID shortage.
But ma'am, I'm just clarifying your testimony. You
And I'm
testified,
clarifying your question.
ma'am, you testified that the reason you ran to the store was because there was a shortage due to COVID. Is that right?
COVID-related issues, yes.
And your testimony is that that occurred, those COVID-related issues, in August of 2019.
Yes,
Now, in addition, you testified that you were having a conversation with Jamie DeWolf about the police. Is that right?
yes,
And it had nothing to do with Robert Champulian, who you now knew at that point was a police officer, is that right?
Yes,
And you knew Robert Champulian lived across the street,
yes,
and you knew by that point that you didn't want to have contact with him, is that right?
yes,
He told you that when you had your interaction with him back in July, is that right?
he didn't tell me that.
And the police told you that.
Yes.
They were told.
Yes,
So you were advised by the police back in July that Mr. Champulian, you didn't want to have contact with you, is that right?
yes,
And you knew he was a police officer at that point, after August of 2000.
yes,
And at that point, you're having this conversation with Jamie DeWolf about the police out in front of your home, is that right?
and on the way to the car.
On the way to the car, and again, across the street from his home, is that right?
Yes,
Now, the comments that you were making about the police, that you testified earlier, that you were telling some police are good, is that right?
yes,
Some police are bad,
yes,
some police are in between.
yes. I wanted to give him a realistic view of the police with all the police issues going across the country.
So your position is that you take a realistic view on the police and the issues with the police in this country?
I try to be objective as possible at times. Sometimes I don't get it right all the time, but I try to be objective and neutral.
And so you try to be objective and neutral.
Yes,
And you were trying, is that what the conversation you were having with Jamie DeWolf on that day? You were trying to impart this objective and neutral approach on it?
yes.
Uh,
Realistically positive, realistic across the board.
But ma'am, just going back to your activities filming the police that you told us about earlier. Remember we talked about a YouTube channel that you have, Kind James Joke stuff,
Yes.
right? And that you upload videos onto that YouTube channel that you film, is that
Yes,
right? And that you title and caption those videos.
yes,
If I showed you those videos again, would you recognize them? They're still in front of you,
Yes.
that's 1 through 8.
yes,
And those are the same captions from earlier with regards to, those are the same still shots taken from your website that we went through earlier. Is that
Yes.
right?
Judge Kennedy, does that work?
yes.
Objection withdrawn.
So, ma'am, I want to turn your attention specifically to beginning with S7.
Yes,
You see S7 in front of you. Those are screenshots again, videos uploaded by you to YouTube channels. Is that right?
yes,
And again, caption and title of those videos. Is that right?
yes,
DVR
There's 4 videos captured in its entirety on this still shot with the 5th one slightly color at the bottom. Just starting with the first video there, there's a picture of the video footage, a still shot, and you can see a police officer in that picture. Is that right?
yes,
And then the title next to it, the U title, says Tyrant Alert, Wall Township, New Jersey Police Department, add friend. Is that right?
yes,
And the video underneath that, again, you can see a still shot of a police officer. Is that right?
yes,
And the title that you wrote in caption says Tyrant Alert, 1640, Lawrence Township, New Jersey Police Department, add friend. Is that right?
yes,
Underneath that is another caption, where again you can see the head of a police officer with a police hat on. Is that right?
yes,
And the caption that you wrote says, Tyrant Alert, New Jersey State Police traffic stop in Wall Township, New Jersey. Add friend.
yes,
Underneath that's another video with a police officer in the picture. Is that right?
yes,
And again it says, Tyrant Alert, Wall Township, New Jersey Police Department. Add friend.
yes,
And turning to S8, you have S8 in front of you as well. Is that right?
yes,
The top of that first video on S8, there's another video with a police officer in the picture. Is that right?
yes,
And it says, again, Tyrant Alert, Asbury Park, New Jersey, USPO, add friend. Is that right?
yes,
Below that is another video clip with a caption. Is that right?
yes,
And again, it says Tyrant Alert, Asbury Park, New Jersey Police Department. Is that right?
yes,
And again, you're aware Robert Champulian works for the Asbury Park Police Department, doesn't he?
yes,
So, the conversation that you were having with Jamie DeWolf across the street from your Asbury Park police officer neighbor, that was an objective and neutral conversation about the police.
yes. These videos are from 2016 and 2017. My YouTube channel evolved from that time period. Tyrant Alert means it describes the police officer's behavior during that video.
So now I want to turn your attention to specifically after those comments were made with regards to the conversation. Again, after that, you were made aware that Robert Champulian, he called the local police department. Is that right?
Yes.
And you spoke with Captain Keith Mitchell, you mentioned under that. Is that right?
What date?
Again, August 19th, 2019.
Okay.
You spoke with Captain Keith Mitchell on that date.
Yes.
And again, you were advised that Robert Champulian, he didn't want to have contact with you. Is that right?
Yes.
That whatever you were saying or doing, he didn't want to have contact. Is that right?
Yes.
So now by that point, you would have been advised on 2 dates, July and now in August of 2019, on 2 dates by police officers that Robert Champulian didn't want to have contact with. Is that right?
Yes. I didn't have a problem with that.
Now, and you testified on direct examination that you used his driveway to turn around your vehicle. Is that right?
I didn't use his driveway. It was in front of his driveway on the public portion of the roadway.
So you used the very front portion public portion of his driveway
Yes,
to turn around your vehicle
Yes.
and make these K-turns. And you did that on a routine basis, is that right?
yes, for several years.
For several years, you said.
Yes.
Is that right? Was that several years before Robert Champollion was living there?
Yes,
But ma'am, again, you moved into that residence in March of 2019, that's the point, is that right?
correct. I've known the Duo family for approximately 10 years at that point, and have gone to their house many, many times. We've played skip, we have dinners together, parties together. I took Jamie to school along with my daughter. So, yes, I spent a lot of time at my friend's house over the years.
So, ma'am, your testimony is that you spent a lot of time at your friend's house in the years leading up to this incident. Is that
Yes.
right? And that, with regards to the times you were visiting prior to that, that's when you would, as a matter of routine, pull into the public area of Robert Champollion's driveway. Is that right?
Yes, especially when I took Marie to her doctor's appointments.
So this address then was an address that you were very familiar with prior to moving in March of 2019, is that right?
It's just the area that I use to like back up and go about my daily life or take Marie to her doctor's appointments, and that's it.
So you were very familiar with this area already
Yes,
prior to living?
Yes,
is that
yes.
right? But ma'am, isn't it true that you texted Marie in February of that year asking her for her address?
yes,
Now, with respect to the driveway, you were alerted on 2 occasions that Robert Champollion didn't want to have contact with you, correct? In July and
Yes.
August of 2019. So despite that, you continued your routine of pulling, making your K-turn in the public section of your driveway.
yes. I didn't think it was a problem at that point.
Now, are there other driveways on the block?
Yes,
You didn't change your routine to turn around in any of those driveways?
no, I didn't think it was a problem.
So despite being alerted on 2 occasions by police,
So this is estimates.
thank you. So despite now being advised on 2 occasions by the police that Robert Champollion didn't want to have contact with you, you continued to use the front public portion of his driveway.
I never had any contact with him during those times.
But ma'am, just to answer my question, you continue to use that portion of the driveway to turn around your car.
Yes, and he wasn't there.
Now, you were here when he testified, is that right?
Yes,
And you heard him testify that he was turning his car around in your driveway?
I heard.
You recall him testifying?
Yes,
But he wasn't there when you did.
no, he had a ring. He could see it from his house. He has a ring. To my knowledge, that he has a ring hammer in his front door that I know.
Now, you said you didn't pay much attention to what goes on across the street.
No,
But you paid enough attention to know that he has a ring camera on his.
no, I found out during the discovery process that's how I found out, sir. Not before. I found out through the discovery process that you submitted to my attorney.
So you were he had a ring camera.
Yes,
Now, I want to turn your attention to this September 5th, 2020 incident with regards to going to the mechanic shop, Ray's dealership for your motor vehicle, is that right?
Yes.
So I'd like to show you again the map that you observe on direct examination, which was D5. So to be clear with this image that's being published right now, that's D5. That's the same map that you testified about earlier on from examination.
May I stand up? Because I can't see.
Just to identify if it's the same. So,
May I stand up?
certainly, if you can't see it. Does that appear to be the same map, D5?
Yes.
Thank you. So your testimony on direct examination was that you began at 85 Steiner Avenue. That's where Ray's was. Is that right?
In the area of 85 Steiner Avenue.
So you were in the area of 85 Steiner Avenue. Is that right?
Yes.
Were you? Is that the address of Ray's?
85 Steiner Avenue, yes.
Were you there or were you in the area of Ray's?
I was there,
Okay, so you were at Ray's at
Yes.
85 Steiner Avenue. Is that right?
yes.
And that you then took a drive from there to your home back at 16 Evergreen Avenue. Is that right?
Yes.
And that trip should take about a minute. Is that right?
Yes.
So specifically on this map, and you can stand up if
Okay.
this issue you can see it. Oh, zoom in here. This red dot, that's 85 Steiner Avenue. That's where you began this trip. Is that right?
Yes.
And then you live at 16 Evergreen Avenue, which was around here. Is that right? Where the mouse hand is?
Now,
Where is it?
one over.
It's this house here.
So just as for the purposes of the record, we can identify what we're talking about.
Yeah, it's like,
I'm asking you where.
I don't, you know
where your
what,
house is.
there's no numbers on these boxes, so how would I know by going on with no numbers of it?
Well, ma'am, let me ask you this. If you're going down Steiner Avenue towards your home,
Yes.
would you take a right on Evergreen or a left?
Could you,
If you were coming from Ray's down Steiner Avenue to your home,
Yes.
would you take a right or a left?
all right, I'm Popper.
But I understand that's what you did on that date, but I'm asking where your home was. Was your home on the right side or the left side of Steiner Avenue? It's on Evergreen Avenue, is that correct? It's on Evergreen?
Yes.
And where on Evergreen Avenue in this map was your home? Is it on the right side or the left side of Steiner Avenue?
If it's not on this side, it was on that side.
So it's on the side closer to Gray Place and Poplar Avenue?
No, it's the other side.
So your house is on the other side where I'm moving the cursor?
No.
It's over here?
No, it's over here.
It's in this area where
Yes,
the cursor is?
yes.
Okay, that's what I'm confirming. So your house is in that area? Is that right?
Yes.
So you took the trip, you indicated from this point at Steiner Avenue, and your destination was right over here in Evergreen Avenue. is that right?
Yes.
And that trip, you said should take about,
Approximately a minute, yes.
but you also showed the jury screenshots from your GPS, your home, is that right?
Yes.
And that was marked as D3. I'm just going to publish that again. And specifically, trip 3 of 3 on D3. So that's the GPS data for your trip from 102 Midwood Street, which you testified was the same area as this Stein Avenue race, is that right?
Yes.
And that it concluded at 16 Evergreen Avenue. Is that right?
Could you repeat that question?
The trip started at Ray's in the area of 102 Midwood Street, right?
Yes.
And the trip ended at 16 Evergreen Avenue.
Yes.
And what this GPS still shot shows is that that trip took 7 minutes.
As your trip time, that includes idle time, yes.
So, in total, 7 minutes, according to this GPS, is that right?
Between driving time and idle time, yes.
Now, man, let's talk about the route that you took specifically. Going back to D5. So you started 85 Steiner Avenue, as we discussed, and you made a left turn.
One moment.
I apologize for the council for a moment.
Wait.
Thank you, Ron. So we're back on D5, the map.
One moment.
If you need to get up and see.
Okay.
So again, you started at 85 Steiner Avenue, is that right?
Yes.
And just for the purposes of the record, to make sure that this is audio recorded, your home was at the top right portion of this image, the top side of Evergreen Avenue, is that right?
Yes.
And towards the very right of the photograph, the array place, is that right?
Yes.
So when you take this drive to Evergreen Avenue, you didn't just go straight down Evergreen Avenue and turn right onto, right down Steiner Avenue and turn right on Evergreen, correct?
Question.
You turn left onto Steiner Avenue out of Ray's, is that right?
Yes.
And then you're headed down Steiner Avenue towards Evergreen.
No, towards Poplar Road.
Poplar Road is this unmarked road in the middle here, referencing between Forest Street and Evergreen Avenue, correct?
Yes.
So you head in that direction, right, towards Poplar,
Yes.
correct? You don't continue past Poplar and go to Evergreen, correct?
There's no way to do that. Because you have to go on Great Place to get to Evergreen Avenue.
So, ma'am, as you're driving on Steiner Avenue, you didn't continue straight on Steiner Avenue, right?
I turned right on Poplar.
Correct, so you did not continue going straight, you turned right instead.
Correct.
So you didn't continue straight and make the right turn onto Evergreen instead.
Correct.
You didn't choose to make the right turn on Forest Street either, is that right?
Correct.
You made the right turn on Poplar.
Yes, that's the road I mostly take from that direction in order to park in front of 16 Evergreen Avenue.
And again, you did that, you testified because you wanted to be you wanted to park in front of 16 Evergreen Avenue.
Yes.
So you needed to turn right onto Poplar and then left onto Gray, is that right?
Yes.
And then go left onto Evergreen again to be in front of 16 Evergreen, is that right?
Yes.
To be clear, you didn't choose to just go straight down Steiner, turn around and drive over there, is that right?
Correct.
You didn't choose to go down Forest and continue to Evergreen Avenue that way, is that right?
Correct.
You chose specifically to go turn down Poplar and then Gray Place, is that right?
Correct, because it's a road that I never went on 4th Street to park in front of Evergreen. It was always Poplar Road. I didn't really change my routine at all. I always went on Poplar Road. It didn't really make a difference to me. I mean, it's a road that I always took.
Now, it just so happened that going down that way, that you encountered Robert Champollien there walking his dog, is that right?
Unintentionally, yes.
And you testified on direct examination before lunch that you didn't really know him, is that right?
Correct.
You didn't recognize him, is that right?
Correct.
Now, this is despite the fact that you've had the 2 interactions in July and August of 2019.
I don't see them as interactions, especially on August, because I had a conversation with my friend's son, Jamie.
So, again, man, you'd met him before.
No,
You've never met him face to face?
no,
Not even in July of 2019 when you went and said hello to him?
I never confronted him. I was on my way to work, sir.
I didn't ask if you confronted him, but did you meet him? Have you seen him before?
No, I from a close distance, no.
I'm not asking about the distance. Have you seen him before?
Seen him from a long distance, yes.
Have you spoken to him before or said words to him before?
I said, have a nice, welcome to the neighborhood.
So, on July 2019, you'd seen him and you said something to him, is that right?
From a long distance away, sir, yes.
And again, this is the same individual that by this point, September of 2020, you knew had called the police on you twice, right?
Unwarranted phone calls, yes.
Phone calls that you believe were unwanted, is that right?
Unwarranted,
Unwarranted, right? Those are phone calls. So this is somebody that had made 2 what you believe unwarranted phone calls to the police by that point, is that right?
yes.
And whose house you were routinely turning your car around in front of, is that right?
Yes,
And who lived across the street from you, directly across the street from you, for over a year at that point, is that right?
yes.
But you didn't recognize him when you drove past him?
No, I had better things to do with my life other than paying attention to a person that I don't know that lives across the street.
And you didn't stop and say anything to him, right?
No, not really.
Again, you mentioned you had better things to do. You were in a rush, is that right?
On what date are you talking
This is
about?
back in September 5th, 2020, on your way back from
I
Steiner.
was on my way home from getting my auto checked.
So you have better things to do. You couldn't
Yeah.
stop, is that right? You did testify earlier that you will stop routinely when you see police officers at traffic stops and film that. Is that
That's different. One's a neighbor and one's in two different types of situations. One's a neighbor I don't want nothing to do with, and the other is on the job, professional doing their job. It's it's like comparing apples to oranges.
But that is a yes, you would stop to film
Yes.
police officers, and you knew by that point clearly that Robert Champoolian was a police officer, right?
I saw him as a neighbor at that point.
I'm not asking what you saw, I'm asking what you did you know he was a police officer by that point?
Yes.
But you didn't stop, you didn't say anything.
No.
And this was a neighbor who had made, as you just said, multiple unwarranted phone calls to the police, is that right?
Correct.
But you didn't say anything negative towards him when you saw
No,
him.
I still had to live my life.
So, let's turn your attention now to September and the video, the surveillance cameras that were put up on the house. You testified on direct examination that after this incident on September 5th, that you installed with the DeWolf family surveillance cameras on the home of 16 Evergreen. Is that right?
Keith the Wolf was the one who installed the security cameras on the house, on his house.
And he did that by himself, or he did
Yes.
that with you?
I was with him, but I stayed on the ground, and he took care of the cameras.
So you didn't have anything to do really with the installation of those cameras, you were just there?
Correct. It had nothing to do with the camera installation.
You didn't have anything to do with the purchase of those cameras?
I purchased the cameras myself with the permission, with the authorization of the DeWolf family, and they were having money issues due to Marie's ongoing illness, so it was much easier for me to purchase the security camera system myself.
So you were the one who purchased the security cameras by yourself?
By myself, no. Keith and Marie was there. It was a group decision.
You were the one who paid for those cameras?
Yes.
You purchased the cameras?
Oh, yes.
And you purchased these cameras, and just shortly after, a matter of days after this incident with Robert Champoolian with regards to passing him walking his dog, is that right?
Yes, I didn't know what else to do because I was getting, it's hard to prove my side of the story without video footage, so I didn't know what else to do. The DeWolf family didn't know what else to do. I mean, I never had any issues on Evergreen Avenue until the new neighbor moved into the road, or across the road, across the street. I didn't know what else to do. I didn't feel it was being policed by people at that point.
So, specifically what you just said was you didn't know what else to do. You got these cameras because video was the only way to prove your side of the story. Is that right?
Yes.
And you mentioned on direct examination too that the reason these cameras were installed was to prevent against nefarious activity and false allegations. Is that right?
Yes.
The person that you believe was making false allegations against you was Robert Champoolian, correct?
There was other things too.
There were other individuals on the block that were also making false allegations against you?
No, there was like a report about my car being abandoned and stuff. So that was like one person. That's like one report, so it was, but I didn't get a name for that.
I'm focusing specifically on that phrase, false allegations. Was anyone else making false allegations against you, or was it just Robert Champool?
Are you talking about on the street
On the street, correct?
with neighbors?
Was anyone else, neighbors, people on that street, making false allegations against you?
Not to my knowledge, besides him.
So it's just Robert Champool.
Yes.
And you wanted these videos in order to show your side of the story. Is that right?
To protect myself.
And you mentioned just a moment ago to tell your side of the story, right?
To protect myself from false allegations. Because I know without the video evidence, I won't be believed.
So, ma'am, you knew that you needed the video evidence.
To protect myself and the family from any nefarious activities and false allegations.
And the person making the false allegations was Robert Champool.
Yes.
And these video cameras, they would capture whatever happened with Robert Champool to make sure that you were protected. Is that right?
Yes.
They were designed to capture Robert Champool to make sure you could tell your side of the story.
No, it's to protect me from him, from his false allegations.
From Robert Champool's false allegations. Is that right?
Yes.
So these cameras, looked through earlier, published them again. D6. So, publishing D6. This is a still shot of the camera footage, correct?
Yes.
Now, you mentioned that this footage was kept in your bedroom, right?
Yes.
So it was not kept in Keith DeWolf's bedroom, home, right?
Correct.
So just to clarify, you were the one that purchased these cameras, right?
Yes.
And the footage was kept in your bedroom.
Yes.
And these cameras, specifically the two on the left-hand side of the screen here, they clearly capture across the street. Is that right?
He captures anything and everything.
Including across the street. Is that correct?
And yeah, anything and everything.
And Robert Champool's house, it's right there across the street. Is that right?
Right.
Now, what these cameras don't capture is the backyard, right?
Correct.
The side of the house, correct?
Correct.
But it has a
Wait,
full
hold
view.
on. It does. Wait, yeah, get up, please.
Go ahead.
It captures the one side of the house,
Which camera?
the top left.
The top left camera captures the side
Side
of
where
the
the
house.
driveway is. Like, it captures anything and everything.
So you can see a portion of the driveway,
Yes.
but not the full side of the house, right?
Correct.
And not the backyard of the house, right?
Correct.
But it has a full view of the street, right?
Yes.
And your neighbor Robert Champool's house across the street.
Along with other houses.
But specifically Robert Champool's house,
It wasn't directed towards his house. It was a few full view of everything in front of the house. It's not my fault. It captured Mr. Chaplin's house.
that, ma'am, just to focus you on my question, his house is captured, correct?
Yes, along with other houses.
But those other houses, they weren't making false allegations.
Not to my knowledge.
The individual you needed to protect yourself from was Robert Ford.
Yes. For false allegations.
Nothing further at this time. Thank you.
Any redirect, Mr. Bishop?
Dr. Jenner,
Thank you.
If I could ask councilors to
Yes.
seek counsel. Sorry. Mr. Mitchell, any further?
no, Judge, that's,
So at this point in time, ladies and gentlemen, I have some matters that I have to address with the attorneys outside of your presence. So what we're going to do is we're going to end the day early. I'm going to miss you for the day. We're going to have you back tomorrow morning or to hear closing arguments from counsel and my instructions on the law before we do send you for your deliberations. I'm going to tell you my instructions. I tell you each time I see someone who's smiling as I say that. But it's very important at this point in time that you follow this instruction, because although you've heard the evidence in this case, you still haven't heard the closing arguments of counsel. You haven't heard, just as importantly, my instructions on the law that you apply. And we want to make sure that any decision that you make as jurors is based only upon the evidence and my instructions on the law. So therefore, you are not having any discussions amongst yourselves at all. You haven't been sent for those deliberations yet, so then you'll have the opportunity to discuss this case amongst yourselves. You're not to do that now. Nor are you to have any conversations or discussions with anyone else, friends, family, through verbal conversations, in person or phone, as well as refrain from not to have any discussions through electronic means, whether it's email, text message, social media, how many of us communicate these days. Because as I've mentioned each time, I want to make sure decisions based on the evidence and the laws are instructed, nothing else, and that nothing outside of this courtroom influences your thinking or decision-making process in any way, which also includes research. You're not to do any research in any matter, whether on the internet or searching out places or things whatsoever. You're not the investigators, as I mentioned before. Your decision will be made on the evidence. So no research, no communications. And last, as I always remind you, if you do see anyone involved in this trial outside of this courtroom, they're not being disrespectful in not acknowledging you. They're just following my instructions, just as I instruct you, not to have any interactions with anyone involved in this trial outside of this courtroom, for the same reasons that I just mentioned, regarding your decision to be based just on the evidence and the laws I instruct you, not influencing by anything else. So with that, wish you enjoy your afternoon. We'll see you tomorrow morning. We will take care of the conference here this afternoon, so we should be getting started at 9. We're just prior to 9. We appreciate your patience the past couple of days as we get started a little late, but we should have everything set for us to start close to 9, much closer to 9 o'clock than we have so far. So with that, thank you very much. Enjoy your afternoon. Chris, so, this council, will discuss the charge. We'll go off the record conference of the chambers, and of course, do in relation to the charge, obviously, one charge conference here on. So, unless there's anything else from council that needs to put on the record?
No, thank you.
Nothing from the judge.
Okay, great, so we'll go off the record with the